The following is an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.
As Canada's largest polytechnic, Nait offers one of the country's best digital cinema programs within the Institute's Digital Media and IT department. The course provides students with hands-on instruction from industry experts in the world of digital screen production. From documentary, commercial, and fiction, we're proud to present some of the best student productions from the graduating class of 2014.
Suicide would have been an improvement, from what was going on and how I felt at the time, because I already felt dead, emotionally and physically. People in my life were against me, or they wanted to hurt me, things like that. I felt like it felt like the whole world was a setup, and I was the main character in this dramatic scenario. I snuck out of my house at early in the morning, so probably 1 or 2 in the morning. I was on the phone with one of my friends, and she told me something really personal, and for some reason it really affected me, and I felt like I had to go and see her, that I had to be with her and just to comfort her.
I heard there was a big kerfuffle, and he, it was just, something was wrong. I knew something was definitely wrong.
Justin had a lot of energy, excessive energy, and I thought he was asleep. I went to use the bathroom, and then I was in there and I could hear him get up and run out of the house.
My parents were literally clinging hold of me as I left the house, and they couldn't restrain me, so I was able to get out of their grip, and I took off. When I got there, I think her dad opened the door, and it seemed like they were kind of expecting me to show up.
I walked around the Crescent, I walked around several blocks, I walked down to Lions Park, up to the river, then I got in my vehicle and I drove block after block. So I spent probably over an hour just searching and wondering and being in touch with my wife, and at that point she had got the police involved.
Probably 15 minutes after I was sitting down with her family in the living room, the police knocked on the door, and 2 officers came in, 1 male, 1 female officer, and they said that they wanted to talk to me, so I went outside with them, and then they ended up putting me in the back of the police car, and then I remember one of the police officers, he put his knee on my head, saying that I was arrested under the Mental Health Act. A week later, after being at the Royal Alex Hospital, I got to see one of the psychiatrists, and he diagnosed me with mental illness, bipolar type 1.
I don't think he understood what really that meant, what was happening to him. I don't think of that initial diagnosis he understood what it meant.
I was in a season of depression. The medication really squished my emotions and just kind of masked them, so I wasn't able to really express myself or get kind of that high mood that I was used to having. I thought about the times that I fled or I ran from, I thought about the times that I took flight and that I made bad decisions based on my mood or on my thoughts and stuff. I just wanted to do what was best for me, what was best for my family. I'd be helping myself overcome this barrier, this obstacle.
There was a big challenge involved going forward, knowing that there'd be medications involved. So it was kind of a new start.
I was definitely experiencing lots of messy thoughts and stuff, but after a while it died down, and I was able to switch over to a nutritional program called True Hope.
It was a good 4 years for him and for us, and we really felt confident that he was doing well on the program he was on. We saw some symptoms that we hadn't seen for a while, and his mood was really elevated, and he wasn't always making clear sense.
I decided not to go to work on Friday. I just felt like I was totally overwhelmed. I felt like things were really falling apart, and like things were intensifying for me. Like I felt like the spiritual battle going on, or the natural realm was like colliding with the spiritual realm and all this stuff, and I felt really on edge. So and I started talking like this to my friend Virgil. I started saying like, man, like I started just saying kind of crazy stuff, and he was like, wow, you really need to just go and hang out. He told me to go to Hinton, so I packed up my stuff and took my car and drove in the afternoon to Hinton. I stayed in a hotel room one night, and throughout the night I couldn't sit there, so I used a payphone and I called my sister.
I was just trying to figure out like where he was at, like had he slept, had he had any food, where is he staying? And then at one point in the conversation, he just said, Jan, he's like, I'm not coming back home.
Those are really the only words that I remember saying to her, but it scared me too, because I didn't know what that meant at the time.
He wasn't making sense. He was very confused in his thoughts and in his speech, and he was talking about just getting away. He was talking about changing his identity.
And in that moment, when I hung up the phone, I chose to continue this downward spiral. I chose to let go, and I chose to not give this situation to God, but I ended up taking it into my own hands, and I said, you know what, I want to see how this plays out. I felt like at the time I wanted to see how far down the rabbit hole really went. I sped down the street in my car, and I ended up on the main highway, and I was probably exceeding the speed limit by like 50 or 60 kilometers, so I would have been going 170 or 180 kilometers an hour. Something happened to my car. I felt like my brakes cut out. And I felt the glass hit my face, and the airbag hit me, and then everything just stopped, and it was silent.
It was a very intense time for us, a feeling of helplessness because we were so far away.
And as soon as I heard that, I sat down and I thought, there's a really good chance we won't see Justin alive again.
But I was still awake, and I was still breathing, and I was still alive. I was still so high and elated in my mood, I decided to start running. I made it about 3.5 to 4 kilometers before the police started tailing me, and they were wondering what was going on, and then I got really upset, and I started yelling at them, and then 2 of the police officers who were behind me took out their tasers, and they shot me in the back of the head and in the back.
We've raised Justin as a Christian, and we've always attended church, and we believe in reading the Bible and just living as Jesus talked about in the Bible. And that particular day I said, Justin, I want to pray for you, just me and you. I want to pray for you, and I believe I even used the word blessing. I want to bless you. As your father, I want to bless you.
And I just felt like things were different. I just felt like the whole world was like painted a new shade of like white, or like a new shade of just life, kind of like there was just I experienced like.
He told me later that it was a type of a healing, or a beginning of a healing for him.
And right there I just felt like a whoosh of like peace.
He was overwhelmed with a sense of joy and laughter, and he just let it go.
I don't know what happened, but I just felt like there was a voice in the back of my head or in my heart that said, like, are you gonna run again, or are you gonna let me take over and let me calm you down? And I felt like God was just saying, like, you have a choice to make. You can, let these crazy thoughts rule your life. You can let, all these outlandish ideas, take you down a really bad path, or you can just give in, and you can, give in to my peace into my rest, into my safety. I just came to the realization that, wow, like, I definitely do suffer from mental illness, that bipolar disorder, or what you might call it, is something that I've struggled with, and I came to that conclusion and that end that I do need help, and I do need the support of my family and my friends to, to be healthy emotionally and mentally and physically. I chose to get up. I chose to keep wandering.
I kind of felt like he was turning a corner.
He said to me that he wasn't going to let that incident define his life. So I could see that really clearly in him.
A method of recovery for me over the past even 2 years has been writing music and playing music in my room and just writing lyrics. I've been learning lately that music's a tool that I want to use to bring hope to people, to tell my story in a really tangible way. Everybody has a story worth telling to somebody, and that these stories can bring life to people, and they can bring hope, and they can bring redemption to people. So next time when I break down, when I feel hopeless, when I feel lost or confused, I can be breaking for the right stuff. Next time I'll be breaking for love.
Oh, my heart is breaking. Oh, my heart is breaking for love. It's breaking for you. Oh, my heart is breaking. Oh, my heart is breaking for love. It's breaking for you.
There's 10 of these guys. Need you to take them all out.
This is the story of a man named Daniel. Daniel works for a well-organized hotel company, where he is the staff accountant. Working 48 hours a week, Daniel earns over 75 grand annually, with a promotion looming just around the corner, gradually reaching the pinnacle of his success, and Daniel was happy. After a hard day at work, Daniel decided to repay his hard efforts with a comforting stroll around the area. It was all he needed to temporarily relieve himself from the people who depended on him, along with his work. Casually passing by, Daniel encounters a particular sound which caught his interest. A rather charming melody, set to ease the minds of many. Daniel went to investigate. A simple man simply sat on a bench, playing little tunes on his harmonica. This baffled Daniel. What purpose would the man have to be playing outside in public in such a cold winter? What could the man possibly hope to achieve? Money? Fame? Unlike the man, Daniel already has everything he needs to live a happy life. Knowing this, Daniel decided to head back to his car and drive home. Perhaps you misheard me, so allow me to reiterate that sentence. Daniel leaves the man to his business as he heads back home. Are you deaf? I'm trying to help you here. This is your story, not mine. I really need you to trust me on this one, Daniel. After all, it is in your best interest to do so. Here, let me try this again. Daniel leaves the area. Oh, finally. For a moment there, I thought you would never leave. I haven't even gotten to the initial incident, or even a conflict in that matter. Hell, I bet you have no clue where you are anymore. If you know what's good for you, I suggest you stop right now before you really get on my bad side. Oh, Daniel. I didn't think I'd have to do this, but now I have no choice. After running mindlessly across the pedway, Daniel began to feel dizzy. Daniel was having a heart attack. Now lifeless and still, our incorrigible protagonist now faced his inevitable death. This is the story of a man named Burkwell. Burkwell works as a renowned writer and has been for the past 25 years. Every fictional novel he wrote has brought endless amounts of thrill and joy to his readers globally, taking the world by storm. And Burkwell was happy. Then one day, Burkwell encountered an opportunity that would change his life forever. An opportunity that he would never forget. It was then that Burkwell decided to become a narrator. And he loved it. That was all until he introduced his latest protagonist, named Daniel. Daniel was incorrigible and rebellious. He wouldn't follow any of Burkwell's orders. Because of this, Daniel has ruined the narrator's story, his reputation, as well as his pride. Do you understand what you're dealing with now? Why are you doing this to me, Daniel? What more do you want? Tell me! You want a choice? Why would you want a choice when you already have all that you could have possibly wanted? If you really think that you can survive in this world on your own, then I won't put any more effort on holding you back. Keep in mind that by leaving, your wealth, career, and reputation will be left behind. Well, Daniel, are you happy now?
Drumheller, Alberta, home to one of the largest dinosaur graveyards in the world. More complete dinosaur skeletons have been found here than nearly anywhere on the planet. Frank Hadfield moved to Drumheller 20 years ago to pursue his lifelong passion for dinosaurs. When he isn't building skeletons for museums around the world, he spends most of his free time hunting for fossils right in his own backyard, looking for rock formations called concretions that might contain fossils. Like all amateur dinosaur hunters, Frank has spent the last 2 decades on the hunt for that one big find. It was a walk through the Badlands in the summer of 2007 when he saw something strange sticking out of the hillside.
Well, I just decided to go for a walk outside of my house. Typical thing I'd done 100 times before. Sure enough, saw a concretion sticking out of the riverbed. When I got closer to it and looked at it, I couldn't believe my eyes. What looked to be 2 small claws protruding out of the concretion. It was really unbelievable.
Not far from the local grocery store, Hadfield made the find of a lifetime. He uncovered not only the claws, but the entire body of a dinosaur, a small ornithomimid from Earth's late Cretaceous period that lived 73 million years ago. The shape of the skull reminded Hadfield of the cartoon character Woody the Woodpecker. But what made the discovery of Woody so extraordinary were features never seen before in dinosaurs found in North America: feathers.
I was just shocked when I saw the detail and the amount of feathers that were on him. It's like what every paleontologist dreams of when you go hunting for fossils. It's like winning the lottery, really.
The discovery of feathers on Woody marks the most primitive occurrence of wing-like feathers on a dinosaur anywhere in the world, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the world of paleontology.
I think I was in disbelief. I don't think I truly believed they were feathers. I thought, wow, this is the first time feathered dinosaurs have been found in the Western Hemisphere.
The feathers found on Woody help to further support the link between dinosaurs and birds.
Well, we know that in these dinosaurs, the wings were not used for flight because these dinosaurs were much too large to fly. And what were some of those potential purposes? Well, one of them is egg brooding. They would have basically used their wing feathers on their forearms, to cover their brood or their eggs. These ostrich dinosaurs were probably very fast runners. There's been estimates that they ran between 60 and 70 kilometers an hour. They used their wings for maneuvering, for control.
Just a year after the discovery of Woody, Frank was prospecting for fossils when he hit the jackpot for a second time, uncovering another feathered dinosaur. While Woody was a juvenile, the second fossil, nicknamed Andy, was an adult ornithomimid, about the same size as a full-grown ostrich. Not only were the 2 fossils from the same species, but Frank had uncovered them buried in the same layer of rock.
Possibly they lived at exactly the same time. They could have even been part of the same family group. How they were preserved is really what sets this apart from any other dinosaur find in North America. That we're finding this level of preservation in rocks where it shouldn't be happening. That plus the fact that we're finding ornithomimids with feathers like this, those 2 combined, it really is groundbreaking.
It's a complete game changer in that we can find dinosaurs preserving feathers basically anywhere. This is going to make paleontologists to look more closely at what they find. Opens up a whole new world of finding these feathered dinosaurs.
Despite being an amateur fossil hunter, Frank's discovery of the first feathered dinosaurs in North America has certainly earned him a place in the history of paleontology.
Undoubtedly, there's going to be more of these feathered dinosaurs found. This changes everything. It is like finding the hidden valley of soft tissue anatomy specimens.
With the discovery of feathers, there's a good chance that other soft tissues such as skin and internal organs will be uncovered, which could make the Badlands of Alberta the best site in the world to find the preserved bodies of dinosaurs.
The proceeding was an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.